I've assessed over 300 buildings in my career: hospitals, schools, office towers, parking structures. I know how they're supposed to work. I know where the load-bearing walls go, where the utility chases run, where the fire exits need to be. I can look at a floor plan and tell you exactly where the building will fail in 50 years. I was hired to assess the Meridian Commercial Building. 6 stories, built 1961, scheduled for renovation. Standard job. 2 weeks of measurements, photographs, structural analysis, a report, a recommendation, a paycheck. That was 3 days ago. I'm still in the building. The elevator is stuck between the 3rd and 4th floors. The emergency button connects to a recorded message. My phone has no signal. And I just found a room that doesn't exist on any blueprint. I'm going to write down what I found, in case someone reads this, in case someone comes looking. The first discrepancy was on level 4. The floor plan shows 3 sections: a north wing, a south wing, and a central corridor. But when I walked the floor, I could only access 2 sections, the north wing and the central corridor. The south wing was behind a wall, a thick wall, much thicker than the plans showed. I measured it. The wall between the central corridor and the south wing is 4 feet thick. 4 feet. That's not a wall. That's a room. A room that's been sealed inside the structure. A room that no one has entered in over 60 years. I told myself it was a measurement error. Pre-CAD drawings are often imprecise. The original architect might have made a mistake. The contractor might have deviated from the plans. I've seen it before. Old buildings are full of surprises. So I marked the discrepancy in my notebook and moved on. The next problem was on level 3. The floor was hollow underfoot, a section near the elevator bank, about 6 feet by 8 feet. The original plans showed solid concrete, no basement beneath this area, no crawl space, no mechanical room, just foundation and soil. I knelt down and knocked on the floor. Hollow. Definitely hollow. I took out my laser distance tool and measured the floor thickness. The reading was wrong. The tool showed a depth of 0, as if there was nothing beneath the surface, as if the floor was just a shell. I checked the batteries. Full. I tested the tool on another section of the floor. Normal reading. Solid concrete. I went back to the hollow spot. 0 again. The tool wasn't malfunctioning. There was something beneath that floor. Something that shouldn't be there. Something that the tool couldn't measure because it wasn't made of any material in its database. I told myself it was an air pocket, a construction defect, a void left over from when the building was poured. It happens. Not often, but it happens. I marked it in my notebook, moved on. But I couldn't stop thinking about the wall on level 4. 4 feet thick. And the floor on level 3. 6 by 8 feet of nothing. They lined up. The void on level 3 was directly beneath the sealed room on level 4. Same coordinates, same dimensions. Someone had built a space inside this building. A space that wasn't on any plan. A space that had been sealed from the inside. On level 2, I found the smell. I was walking the east corridor. Standard office layout. Cubicles, conference rooms, a break area. Nothing unusual. But when I passed the maintenance closet, I stopped. The air was different. Cold. Stale. Not the musty smell of an old building. The smell of a space that had been closed for a very long time. The smell of something that had been waiting. I opened the closet. Standard size. Mops, buckets, cleaning supplies. Nothing out of place. But the back wall was warm. Not hot. Warm. The specific warmth of a space on the other side. A space with its own climate. A space that was occupied. I pressed my hand against the wall. The surface was smooth. Drywall. But behind the drywall, I could feel something else. Concrete. Older than the building, much older. The texture was wrong. The temperature was wrong. The way it resonated under my palm was wrong. I took out my inspection camera, threaded it through a gap in the ceiling tile. What I saw didn't make sense. Behind the wall there was a room, about 10 feet by 10 feet. Concrete floors, concrete walls, concrete ceiling. No windows, no doors, no ventilation. The room was empty, except for the center. In the center of the room there was a chair, wooden, old, facing the wall. And on the wall, facing the chair, there were marks. Thousands of them. Scratch marks, like someone had been counting the days. Counting for a very long time. I tried to call my supervisor. No signal. I tried the elevator. It came. I got in, pressed the lobby button. The doors closed. The elevator went down, past the lobby, past the basement, past the parking garage. It kept going. The buttons stopped lighting up. The display showed a floor number that didn't exist. B4, B5, B6. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. The air was cold. The smell was worse. The smell of something alive. Something that had been breathing the same air for decades. I didn't get out. I pressed the lobby button again. Nothing. The emergency button. A recorded message. A woman's voice. "Your call has been placed in a queue. Please hold." Then silence. The doors closed. The elevator went up. Past the lobby. Past level 2. Past level 3. Stopped between 3 and 4. That's where I am now. Stuck. In the dark. My phone battery is at 12%. The flashlight is dying. And I can hear something. Below me. Inside the walls. A sound. Low. Constant. Not quite a hum. Not quite a vibration. Something in between. I've been thinking about the numbers. The dimensions. The hollow floor on level 3. The sealed room on level 4. The hidden space behind the maintenance closet on level 2. They don't add up. The building is 6 stories. I've measured every floor. The total height of the building should be 72 feet. But my measurements add up to 68. 4 feet missing. 4 feet. The same thickness as the wall on level 4. The same depth as the void on level 3. The same distance between the closet wall on level 2 and the room behind it. The building is 4 feet shorter than it should be. 4 feet of space that doesn't appear on any plan. 4 feet of space that has been here since 1961. 4 feet of space that someone has been living in. Counting the days. Waiting. I found the access point. It was in the stairwell, between the 3rd and 4th floors. A panel that looked like part of the wall, but the screws were newer than the surrounding metal. The paint was fresher. I opened it. Behind the panel, there was a ladder. Going down. Into the space between the floors. Into the 4 feet that shouldn't exist. I climbed down. The space was narrow. I had to crawl. The ceiling was inches above my head. The floor was cold. Concrete. But not smooth. Marked. Scratched. Thousands of lines. Parallel. Organized. Days. Years. Decades. I followed the marks. They led to a room. A room that wasn't on any blueprint. A room that couldn't exist. But it did. I was standing in it. The room was empty. Except for the walls. The walls were covered in photographs. Old photographs. Faded, yellowed. Dozens of them. Hundreds. All of the same thing. The building. Being built in 1961. But in every photograph there was something wrong. a shape, a shadow, a figure standing in the background, watching, always watching. From the foundation, from the steel frame, from the freshly poured concrete. The figure was there before the building was finished, before the walls went up, before the floors were laid. The building wasn't built on top of an empty lot. It was built around something. Something that was already there. Something that has been there for a very long time. Something that never left. I turned around. The entrance to the room was gone. The crawl space was gone. The ladder was gone. There was just wall. Concrete. Smooth. Unbroken. Sealed. I was inside the 4 feet. Inside the space that doesn't exist. Inside the room that was built to contain something. And I wasn't alone. I've been here for 3 hours now. My phone is at 3%. The flashlight is dead. I'm writing this in the dark. My fingers are cold. My chest is tight. And I can hear it. The sound I've been feeling since I first walked into this building. The low frequency. The vibration. The thing that made me uneasy on level 1. The thing that made me nauseous on level 2. The thing that made me want to leave on level 3. It's not a sound. It's a presence. A presence that has been here for longer than the building, longer than the city, longer than anyone can remember. And it knows I'm here. It's been waiting for someone to find it. Someone who would understand what they were looking at. Someone who would measure the walls and count the floors and notice the 4 feet that didn't add up. Someone like me. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if anyone will read this. I don't know if my phone will survive long enough to send it. But if you're reading this and you're about to assess a building called the Meridian Commercial Building, don't. Don't take the job. Don't walk the floors. Don't measure the walls. And whatever you do, don't find the 4 feet. Because once you find it, you can't leave. The building won't let you. It's been waiting for someone to take its place, someone to count the days, someone to scratch the marks, someone to keep it company. I can hear. My name is Sarah. I'm a structural engineer. I assessed 300 buildings before this one. This is the only one that assessed me back. My brother called me last week. First time in 3 years. I didn't answer. I let it go to voicemail. I've been letting his calls go to voicemail for 3 years. That's what happens when you say things you can't take back. When you tell your only sibling that you don't want to see him again. When you hang up and spend the next 3 years telling yourself you'll call tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. His voicemail was short, 30 seconds. He said he was sorry. He said he missed me. He said he wanted to see me. He sounded like himself. Same voice, same cadence, same way of saying my name. Claire. Not Claire, the way he says it, with the emphasis on the second syllable, like he's been holding the word in his mouth for a long time. I listened to it 3 times. Then I called him back. No answer. Straight to voicemail. His voicemail. The same one he's had for 15 years. You've reached Daniel. Leave a message. I left one. Short. I'm sorry too. Call me back. He didn't call back. That was last week. I've been thinking about the fight. About what I said. About what he said. About the 3 years we wasted because neither of us wanted to be the first to apologize. I've been thinking about our childhood. About the house we grew up in. About our mother, who's in the hospital now, and our father, who's been dead for 10 years, and all the things we never said to each other that we should have said a long time ago. I came back to the house yesterday, our childhood home, our mother's house. She's been in the hospital for 2 weeks. No one has been here. The mail is piled up. The plants are dying. The air is stale. I walked through the rooms, the kitchen, the living room, my old bedroom, his old bedroom. Everything was the same. The same furniture, the same wallpaper, the same smell. My mother hasn't changed anything in 30 years, but something was wrong. The family photo on the shelf in the hallway. The one of me and Daniel at the beach. I was 7, he was 9. We were building a sandcastle. Our mother took the picture. She kept it in a frame on the shelf. I saw it 2 weeks ago when I took her to the hospital. It was facing out, the way it always has. Yesterday it was facing down, face against the shelf, like someone had turned it over, like someone didn't want to look at it anymore. I turned it back, facing out. I checked the rest of the house. The other photos were fine, only that one. Only the one of me and Daniel. I told myself it was nothing. My mother must have moved it before she went to the hospital. She's been forgetful lately. The doctors said it might be the medication. I'm sure she just turned it around and forgot. Then I saw the dog bowl. My mother had a dog, a golden retriever named Max. He died 2 years ago. Cancer. My mother was devastated. She gave away his bowl. I watched her do it. She handed it to the neighbor and said she couldn't look at it anymore. The bowl was back, on the kitchen floor, full of water, and next to it, a second bowl, full of food. Max has been dead for 2 years. I stood there for a long time, just looking at the bowls, trying to find the normal explanation. My mother must have bought new bowls. She must have been missing Max. She must have wanted to get another dog. She's lonely. The hospital is lonely. It makes sense. But the bowls were old. The same bowls. The same scratches on the metal. The same dent on the rim where Max used to bite down when he was excited. These were Max's bowls. The ones she gave away. The ones that shouldn't be here. I called the neighbor, the one who took the bowls. She said she still had them in her garage. She hadn't touched them in 2 years. She sent me a photo. The bowls were in her garage, on a shelf, covered in dust. I was looking at the same bowls, in my mother's kitchen, full of water, full of food. I didn't know what to think. That night, I slept in my old bedroom. The bed was too small. The room was too quiet. I couldn't stop thinking about the photo, about the bowls, about Daniel, about the voicemail. At 2 a.m., I heard something. A voice. From down the hall. From the direction of Daniel's old room, saying my name. Claire. The way he says it. Emphasis on the second syllable. His voice. Exactly his voice. Not a recording, not a memory. Live. Present. In the house. I got up. Walked down the hallway. His door was closed. I don't remember closing it. I don't remember anyone closing it. It's been open for years. Ever since he moved out. My mother keeps it open. She likes to see his room. She likes to remember. The door was closed. I opened it. The room was empty. No furniture, no boxes, just bare walls and bare floors. But the air was warm, the specific warmth of a body that had just left. And on the floor there was a footprint. Barefoot. Small. A child's foot. The size of Daniel's foot when he was 9 years old. I'm a speech-language pathologist. I study voices for a living. I can hear things other people can't. Micro-hesitations, pitch variations, the subtle difference between a genuine emotion and a performed one. I've spent 15 years training my ear to hear the truth in someone's voice. I listened to Daniel's voicemail again, the one from last week, the one I've listened to 100 times, and I heard it. The timing was wrong. Not by much, milliseconds. The spaces between words were too even, too perfect. A real person's speech has natural variation, micropauses, tiny hesitations. Daniel's voicemail had none. It was too smooth, too consistent, like someone had generated it. like someone had learned his voice from a recording and reproduced it without understanding the rhythm of human speech. I went through my old phone, the one I used 3 years ago, the one with Daniel's old voicemails, the ones he left before the fight, before we stopped talking. I found one from 4 years ago. "Hey, Claire, just calling to say hi. Call me back." I listened to it. Then I listened to the new one, side by side. The voice was the same. The pitch was the same. The cadence was the same. But the new one was wrong. The spaces between words were too precise. The breath sounds were missing. The tiny clicks of saliva, the soft intakes of air, the imperfections that make a human voice human. They weren't there. The new voicemail wasn't Daniel. It was something that had learned Daniel's voice, something that had studied it, something that had been listening to his old voicemails for a very long time, something that had been in this house, in his room, listening. I found the shoe the next morning. I was in Daniel's room, looking at the floor. The footprint was gone, no trace, but the floorboard creaked differently in one spot. I knelt down, pushed on the board. It lifted. Under the floorboard, there was a space, about a foot deep, and in that space, there was a shoe. A child's shoe. Brown leather, scuffed at the toe. Size 3. Daniel's size when he was 9. The house was renovated when I was 12. The floors were replaced. The old floorboards were removed. This board shouldn't be here. This shoe shouldn't be here. It should have been thrown away 25 years ago, but it was here, under the floor, in a space that shouldn't exist, with no dust on it, no age, no wear. Like it had been placed there recently, like someone had put it there last week. I picked it up. The leather was warm. The inside of the shoe was warm. The specific warmth of a foot that had just been inside it. I heard the laugh from the hallway. A child's laugh. Daniel's laugh. The laugh he had when he was 9 years old, high, uncontrolled. The laugh he used to make when I tickled him. The laugh I haven't heard in 25 years. I ran to the hallway. No one was there. But the photo was face down again, the one of me and Daniel at the beach. I turned it over. Our faces were scratched out, mine and his. Not cut, not torn, scratched, with something sharp. The marks were fresh. The paper was still curled at the edges. I called Daniel, the real Daniel, the number I haven't called in 3 years. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Then voicemail. "You've reached Daniel. Leave a message." I left one. "Daniel, it's Claire. I'm at Mom's house. Something is wrong. Please call me back." He didn't call. I called again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. The same message. The same recording. The same voice. The voice I've been hearing my whole life. But this time, I listened differently. I listened the way I listened to patients. For the micro-hesitations, for the breath sounds, for the tiny imperfections that prove a voice is real. There were none. Daniel's voicemail greeting was wrong. The same wrong. The same too perfect timing. The same missing breath sounds. The same smoothness that doesn't exist in human speech. His voicemail greeting had been replaced. Not recently. Maybe years ago. Maybe 3 years ago. Maybe around the time we had the fight. Around the time he stopped calling. Around the time I stopped answering. I don't know how long the thing on the other end of the phone has been pretending to be my brother. I don't know if the real Daniel has been gone for 3 years, or 3 months, or 3 days. I don't know if the fight even happened, if the words we said to each other were real, if the silence that followed was his choice or something else's. I don't know anything anymore. But I know the laugh I heard in the hallway was real. I know the shoe under the floorboard was warm. I know the photo was scratched out by someone who didn't want me to remember what my brother looked like as a child, what we looked like together, before everything went wrong. I'm still in the house. I've been here for 2 days. I can't leave. Not because I'm trapped, because I need to know. I need to know what happened to my brother. I need to know if the voice on the phone is him. I need to know if the thing that laughed in the hallway is the same thing that left the shoe under the floorboard, the same thing that turned the photo face down, the same thing that's been watching me from his room every night since I got here. My phone rang an hour ago. Daniel's name on the screen. I answered. Claire. His voice. The way he says it. Emphasis on the second syllable. I'm sorry I didn't call back sooner. I've been busy. How are you? I listened. For the micro-hesitations. For the breath sounds. For the imperfections. I couldn't hear any. But I couldn't hear the wrongness either. Not anymore. My ear has adjusted. Or the voice has adjusted to me. Or maybe there never was any wrongness. Maybe I imagined it all. Maybe the stress of my mother's illness, the guilt of 3 years of silence, the loneliness of this empty house, maybe all of it combined to make me hear things that weren't there. I don't know. I asked him questions about our childhood, about the beach, about the sandcastle, about the shoe he lost when we were 9, the brown leather one, the one he cried about for a week. He answered all of them, correctly, in detail, with the right emotions in the right places. He sounded exactly like my brother. But when I asked him where he was, he paused. A real pause. The kind a person makes when they're deciding whether to tell the truth. I'm at home, he said. I asked him where home was. He didn't answer. The line went silent. Not dead, silent. The kind of silence that happens when someone is still there but has stopped speaking, when they're listening, waiting. Then he spoke again. His voice was different. The same voice, the same pitch, the same cadence, but the warmth was gone. The humanity was gone. It was like listening to a recording of a recording. Something that had been copied too many times. Something that had forgotten what it was supposed to sound like. I'm where you left me, he said. In the room, under the floor, waiting for you to come back. The line went dead. I called back. Voicemail. You've reached Daniel. Leave a message. The greeting was normal again. The micro-hesitations were back. The breath sounds were back. The imperfections were back. It sounded exactly like my brother. I don't know if my brother is alive. I don't know if he's dead. I don't know if he ever existed. I don't know if the voice on the phone is him or something that has been learning his voice for 25 years. Since we were children. Since he lost his shoe. Since the floorboards were replaced. Since something got under the floor and started listening. I'm leaving the house today. I'm going to the hospital to see my mother. I'm going to ask her about Daniel, about the fight, about the voicemails, about the shoe, about the floor, about the things she never told me. But I'm afraid of what she'll say. I'm afraid she'll tell me Daniel never called, that the voicemail I've been listening to for 3 years was never from him, that the voice I've been hearing in this house isn't his, that it's something else, something older, something that has been here since we were children, something that has been practicing. My phone is ringing again, Daniel's name on the screen. I'm not going to answer, but I know I will, because I need to know, because not knowing is worse than knowing, because if I don't answer, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering. And maybe that's what it wants. Maybe it doesn't need me to answer. Maybe it just needs me to keep listening.